Can no one see Jay on that stage?
No one can stand on that stage. I mean, I'm just telling you guys the real. I like, feel there's not a shot. There's not a chance in hell that anyone can stand on that stage with me for I don't know how long it.
Now, since Jay have made these comments, I've heard over 20 different potential artists who could have a versus against Jay. To be honest with you, I think there really is one person for this. I understand a lot of the artists that are being mentioned are artists that you grew up with, or maybe the artists that you most identify with. Even in the extreme, you hate Jay-Z's guts, and you will take any opportunity to take a shot at him. Shots such as people claiming that Jay-Z can't write hooks. First off, let me get some of these artists out of the way so you can understand what it takes to actually beat Jay in the verses. Realistically, a lot of people from the old school really don't have a shot at Hove. A J. Cole versus against Jay would be something like a grandfather versus a son. Nothing against J. Cole, but this wouldn't last long. The same can be said about my current favorite rapper, Kendrick Lamar. The problem with Kendrick is the same problem that a lot of these artists from the 2010s will have. Basically, they don't have a long enough catalog to compete with Jay. Jay used to put out an album every year from the late 90s all the way to about 2006. Now, Drake and Future does have a better shot than the other two that I just mentioned. The reason being the OVO sweatshop. I can't front. Drake has been releasing music constantly. He kind of reminds me of Jay a little bit in that way. If Drake ever does a versus with Hove, you could believe that a lot of people are going to bring up the allegations of people that ghostwrite for him. And you could sure as hell believe that they will bring up the infamous L that he took from Pusha T. Other than that, he definitely has the hits, but he may be suited for somebody else. As for Future, Future may think that he's realer in the streets than Jay. But if he goes in with that mentality, he's in for a rude awakening. This is chess, not checkers. Jay doesn't have to get his hands dirty anymore, and Jay's team has always been real. If J. Cole versus Jay is a grandfather versus son, then Kanye versus Jay is father versus son. Big's brother is his brother. Emphasis on older brother. If you have any older brothers, then you know how tough it is to come out of your older brother's shadow, and how quickly they will put you back in that shadow. Jay knows that feeling all too well with Big. I'd rather see a Drake versus Kanye versus. That has way more potential and it makes more sense to me. Seeing as Kanye is going through a divorce right now, I don't feel like he will be in the right mind state to handle a versus at this moment. I'm only mentioning 50 because my boy would kill me if I didn't mention him. But the 50 Cent versus Jay wouldn't make sense either. I mean, 50 got the hits, but what is he gonna do? He's more seen as somebody who does TV shows and produces stuff. I can't see him going back to the music realm and really doing stuff like this. I don't know what y'all thinking. Either get the Biggie or the Tupac hologram to go against Hov. Battling ghosts is something that Jay-Z has had to live with since the golden age of rap. It's very hard to live up to somebody who's already passed away. It seems that no matter what he does, the goalpost is always moved back. This is why the Grammy family freestyle exists. I myself has moved the goalposts many times to keep Big on top. Make no mistake about it, Biggie and Pac would win in the verses if verses existed back then. The only issue is they're not alive. The Notorious B.I.G. left a mark that will never be forgotten. No one ever took the game by storm quite like Biggie did. This man brought an entire coast back. And if you look at Jay's career and you examine it for what it is, you can only imagine had Big lived how far he would have got himself. Tupac, who was already beefing with Jay-Z during the golden age of rap, has a massive catalog and is one of the reasons why he's so appreciated today. He left behind massive tracks, and in a versus setting would definitely give Jay-Z a problem, but like Big, he never survived his feud. I do also want to point out that during his death is when he received most of his record sales, and that's kind of sad because we don't have to wait for these rappers to die for us to actually give them their flowers. With that being said, I do want to bring up two what if scenarios. If Big L lived, he is a legitimate contender, and he definitely has the catalog to do it. And I also want to bring up Big Pun, the first Latin rapper to bat for you. And up until 99, I think if you compare the tracks that they had on their catalogs to Jay, this is a legitimate battle. The last rapper I would like to mention as far as ghosts is DMX. I always thought in the back of my head that if we never got a Nas versus Jay, we would always get a DMX versus Jay. DMX is a crazy performer. This is the same man that moved an entire continent when he performed in Africa. He is not to be ignored, and I would say up until the late 90s, all the way to the mid 2000s, he was definitely a threat to Jay. If you ever saw Backstage, then you know what I'm talking about. DMX has always felt wrong back when his sixth studio album was set to be released. Back then, Jay Z was the Def Jam president, and you could even see interviews where DMX is pointing this fact out. He once said that, "I see what you're doing. You're removing the competition." There's no telling that if these two men ever resolve this disagreement, but unfortunately, we would never get the competition of X versus Jay Z, seeing as he passed away last year, 2021. Rest in peace to all these rappers. I know what a lot of you guys are saying. If these guys don't have a shot, then who? Well, Busta has a shot. Yes, the human iPod with a plethora of tracks and massive hits can definitely go against Hove. With the release of ELE 2, he let the world know that he's not finished yet. The man is a legend on and off that stage. He may not have as long as a catalog as Jay, but he has more than enough hits to keep it interesting. He can perform all those tracks that he has, by the way, too. His unique voice and stage presence will definitely keep us entertained. Eminem has a shot, but I can't say that without pointing out this one thing about Eminem, and we all know it's going to come up sooner or later, especially in the verses. He's white. If there's anything that the pandemic has taught us, is that America definitely hasn't changed when it comes to things that has to do with race. And definitely a versus with Eminem versus Jay-Z would definitely highlight that, and it will get to that point quicker than you think. I mean, I could trust the real fans of hip hop to actually give a proper critique. But we all know what everybody else is going to do, and I definitely don't want to see it. Other than that, I have no problem with this versus whatsoever, and I would definitely welcome it. He definitely has the freestyles, he has the hits. He definitely has an album that outsold any other rapper album wise, so this is definitely a good versus. LL Cool J is someone that I've never really seen mentioned when it comes to verses, and it's becoming criminal right about now. There's no way that a rapper that has 13 studio albums hasn't really been mentioned that much when it comes to this type of format. The massive hits that he has are still crazy. There's a very good reason why you never really saw Tupac diss LL when East Coast versus West Coast was happening. This man is built for battling. The young ones may not remember or even know about what LL Cool J could do when it comes to verses, but we sure do, us old heads. He was the Drake before Drake. LL is the reason why I'm not even going to mention Ja Rule in any type of verses. I'm sorry, Ja Rule fans. If you've somehow forgotten or have never heard anything from LL before, I implore you to go back and listen to what this man has said in the past in all these 13 studio albums that he has. Please. You'll be doing yourself a favor and you'll be doing everybody else a favor when you get into these hip hop conversations. Lil Wayne, outside of the next person I'm going to mention, is always mentioned in the verses against Hove. For straight weeks, I've seen people flood my timeline on Facebook and Instagram talking about how people are not mentioning Lil Wayne in the verses against Jay, or he would kill Jay in the verses. I really don't know about the killing part, but this is what a lot of Lil Wayne supporters have been saying, and also, unfortunately, the Jay-Z haters. I'm all for a Jay-Z versus Lil Wayne, but I only have one condition if this is actually going to go down, and that is, which Lil Wayne are we getting? Because the Lil Wayne I've seen the past few years is not a Lil Wayne I'm interested in seeing compete in any kind of stage whatsoever. But if you know, then you know. And to be honest with you, the Lil Wayne I want to see is the Lil Wayne from the Carter 2, 3, and those Droughts mixtapes. That's the Lil Wayne I love. That's the Lil Wayne that has always had great performances on stage. And that's exactly what he's going to need. He's a great stage performer, and if that isn't the Lil Wayne that we're getting, then I don't want to see a Lil Wayne versus. I know a lot of people may not like this, but there really is only one option for him to have a versus against somebody. And that's against Nas. He's the one that has the best shot, and this is the verses that a lot of people actually really want. There's way too much history there. When the Notorious B.I.G. died, Nas and Jay-Z were the ones who were fighting over the crown, mostly. I mean, Jay-Z hinted as much on his Volume 1 album, on the song The City Is Mine, how he was going to take over the game. And you kind of see how he kind of did in the late 90s. It wasn't until Nas got into his feud with Jay Z where we actually started taking him serious when The Takeover was released and Nas had to answer, and boy, did he answer with Ether. This beef, which started off competitive turned combative, would remain that way till these two shared the stage in October 28th, 2005 at the Powerhouse Concert, New Jersey Continental Airlines Arena. This was so good to see that this kind of started a new trend in hip hop where a lot of other artists, when they had beef with somebody and they finally wanted to end it, they brought people on stage. New school, please pay attention. The reason I love to bring this up as a way of ending beef so much is because can you imagine if Biggie and Pac actually got the chance to end their beef this way? This would have been so beautiful and so much impactful for the culture instead of what we got when we lost those two guys. Even right now, Nas is the only rapper in the game that has more albums than Jay Z, seeing as he has 19 albums, with a 20th on the way, and Jay Z has 17. And I know a lot of people may feel that Nas have terrible beat selection, which I really think is more of a myth than anything else. I just feel like he's the only man that could really honestly put his best foot forward in this type of verses.
Jay may feel that nobody can stand on that stage with him, but the real question is, can anyone survive being on that stage with him? And if you really look at the circumstances, I can't blame him for feeling that way.
I can only speculate how Jay views some of these challenges.
These are merely just my opinions, but they might as well be facts. If you found this video to be entertaining or even insightful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode on Body of Work.